wildfires. Find them at wildseedcollective.com. Fuller Psychological and Family Services is offering 12 free therapy sessions to people impacted by the fires who are unable to access care. Contact Executive Director Dr. Ted Koss at tedkoss@fuller.edu. Grief and Hope, the LA Art World Mutual Aid Relief administered by The Brick, is offering help to artists impacted by the blazes. Info is available at the/brick.org. On Instagram, Mutual Aid LAN is updating a Google Sheet in real time with locations, verified GoFundMe sites, and current resources. If you haven't done so yet, it's still a good idea to sign up for Notify LA on your phone for fire alerts and updates. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Protesting anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, I best align. Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's?
You are listening to a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm your host and Chief White House Correspondent, Dr. Nii-Quartelai, here for you. Broadcasting live from Washington, D.C., where it is cold. It is cold outside. The snow is melting, but it is cold outside indeed. But we are hanging in there as most of the country is experiencing winter weather, rain on the West Coast and snow on the East Coast. And 'tis the season, right? I'm in touch until you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. That's just Dr. Nii-Q. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and I pop right on up, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode. And go ahead and download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your golden ears. And now it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. That's right. It's your national news roundup. And kicking us off, NPR is reporting that a judge has declined to block the Trump administration's resignation offer to federal employees. That's right. After issuing 2 stays, the U.S. District Court judge has declined to block the Trump administration's deferred resignation program for federal employees. The ruling comes more than 2 weeks after the U.S. Office of Personnel Management sent an email to more than 2 million civilian employees of the federal government with the subject line, "Fork in the Road." The email presented government workers with a choice. They could resign now in exchange for pay and benefits through the end of September, or they could remain in their positions with the caveat that their jobs are not guaranteed. Moreover, those who stayed would face significant reforms, including layoffs, a return to work in the office full time, and an expectation that they be loyal That's what the email said. This is in writing. The legal group Democracy Forward filed a lawsuit on February 4th on behalf of labor unions representing almost 1 million civil servants, alleging that the Trump administration's resignation offer is unlawful, as well as arbitrary and capricious in numerous respects. That's legalese right there. In this ruling, the judge wrote that the plaintiffs, the labor unions, lack standing to challenge the fork directive because they are not directly impacted by it. Instead, they allege that the directive subjects them to upstream effects, including a diversion of resources to answer members' questions about the directive. And so this does not look like good news. That's the skinny of it. It doesn't look like good news. And we know that more than 65,000 federal employees, roughly 3% of the federal workforce, had agreed to resign as of Tuesday morning, according to a spokesperson. And so, I would trust it. I'm surprised 65,000 people said yes to this. The details around this resignation deal are not there. The details are scarce. And so to me, at the very least, that's good reason to not lean into this. But we're going to continue to keep our eye on this story as it develops, because federal workers don't just live in D.C. I think there's something like 150,000 federal workers in California alone. Federal workers are spread across the country. And what happens when these federal workers lose their jobs? I mean, what do our communities look like, when folks start belt tightening because they're now looking for work? Remember that good government job that we could depend on? Well, this administration seems hell-bent on making that a relic of the past. Moving along, speaking of the administration, with Elon Musk watching, Trump says that he's giving Doge, even more power, if you can believe that. NBC News reporting that President Trump said on Tuesday that he was signing an executive order to give tech billionaire Elon Musk more power over the federal workforce, adding to Musk's swift and sweeping consolidation of political influence. With Musk standing to his right in the Oval Office, Trump praised the work of his office, known as the Department of Government Efficiency Service, DOGE. And Trump said that he wanted Musk to now do more, even as DOGE faces multiple lawsuits from labor unions and from Democratic state attorneys general over whether they are acting within the law. This new executive order directs federal agencies to, quote, coordinate and consult with DOGE to do what, you might wonder? To cut jobs, to limit hiring. That's according to the summary provided by the White House. Each agency will be ordered to, quote, undertake plans for large-scale reductions in force and limiting hiring to only essential positions. Musk, who, as we all know, is the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX and the wealthiest person in the world, is wielding federal authority without giving up his private sector jobs, while also serving as, quote, a special government employee. It is a temporary position that bypasses some of the disclosure obligations required of full-time government officials. And so, look, if you're going to work in government, work in government. This whole special status thing, is a smokescreen. Nobody's able to tell us that Elon Musk is not doing anything to support, protect, entrench his federal government contracts. A number of his companies have billions of dollars in federal contracts. Where's the oversight? Just saying. It's not looking pretty. Finally, Sean Combs in the news. The New York Times reporting that Diddy sues NBC over documentary that he says defamed him. That's right. The music mogul is facing federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. But, he's found the time to sue NBC Universal and its streaming service Peacock, accusing them of airing a documentary that, quotes, shamelessly advances conspiracy theories about him. The documentary, Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy, is one of several about Mr. Combs' life and career that have been developed amid mounting allegations of sexual abuse and violence that led to the criminal charges in more than 36 civil lawsuits. Diddy, who is in a Brooklyn jail right now awaiting criminal trial, has pleaded not guilty to the charges. He has denied sexually assaulting anyone and has depicted the allegations as fabrications or distorted accounts of consensual sex. In recent weeks, he's begun to go on the offensive, filing lawsuits against people and companies he says has defamed him. When we come forward, we're digging even deeper into this with Sue Ann Robinson. She's an award-winning trial attorney, dynamic commentator, and a renowned TV legal analyst. She's been a leading voice when it comes to criminal justice reform and police misconduct, and has handled a lot of high-profile cases. And so we got the right one for you when we come forward. We're digging deeper into the latest in the Diddy case. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Sherry Shepard here to talk about Black health. You know what I love about us? Everything. From science to the arts, we are leading the way. But we are falling behind in getting vaccinated. Pneumococcal vaccination rates are lower among Black adults than white adults. If you're 50 or older, you're at a greater risk of getting pneumococcal pneumonia. And the CDC recommends vaccination. If you're 19 or older with diabetes like me, you're also at increased risk. Let's continue owning our own healthcare and leading the way in vaccination rates too. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's let the Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
I have a dream today.
The road to freedom wasn't paved with just big moments. It was built day to day, step by step, voice by voice. This February, experience Black History Month with the
He's not
stories
here.
of Angeles and beyond. KBLA Talk 1580,
All
where
right.
Black history lives. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and really honored to welcome our next guest, a fan favorite to say the least. Morris Chestnut joins us to talk about Watson. Its return on Sunday, February 16th on CBS. Welcome to the show, Morris. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for the latest addition to your body of work. Watson's a little bit different from the kinds of shows that we've grown accustomed to seeing you in. Apparently, it's a medical show that has a strong investigative spine. It features a modern version of one of the history's greatest detectives. What attracted you to this project?
So yes, it's a modern day iteration from the Sherlock Holmes mythology, and that is really was the initial thing that attracted me to it. It was a chance to be a part of the iconic mythology of Sherlock Holmes, and the character's name is Watson, and the story has never really been told with Watson at front and center. It's always Sherlock. And I read the pilot script and I loved it. And I met with Craig Sweeney, our showrunner, and we got along great. And then they greenlit it into production.
And why Valentine's Day? I mean, Valentine's Day weekend. It's going to be a release. That's February 16th, 9/8 Central on CBS. Is there any method to that? Why Valentine's Day?
No, there's no method. There's no method to that. We originally had our pilot episode, which was well received, originally aired a few weeks ago. But we had to take, we couldn't do our normal time slot because we had the Grammys on CBS, and then of course this past weekend was a Super Bowl. So now we're getting right back into our regularly scheduled time, which is 9 o'clock on Sundays on CBS.
Well, we certainly are looking forward to seeing it. It feels new and different, and what's interesting is, I didn't know how much we didn't know about Watson until I heard about this project that you're working on.
Exactly, because it showed the in the mythology is typically shown with a Sherlock front and center. And that's why I was really excited about it because it was an opportunity for Watson to be front and center. And there's been some great actors who played Watson, but never with Watson front and center. So I had a clean palette to do and create whatever I'd like, and I love the script. So yeah, it's and we do find out more since Watson is front and center. We do find out more about the backstory, and we found out more about the backstory and how he's intertwined with Sherlock Holmes and the iconic villain in James Moriarty.
And so talk to us about playing a Black Watson in a time such as this. It really made me think about Viola Davis, her portrayal of Annalise in How to Get Away with Murder. And there's an interview she did where she said that script was originally written for a white woman. And clearly Viola Davis is not a white woman, but she has created an iconic character. And so, is that something that you hope to do with the character of Watson?
Most definitely. And the fact that I haven't been in, not in any of the iterations that I've seen any Black characters in the Sherlock Holmes mythology. So this was an opportunity to play the iconic sidekick to Sherlock Holmes in with the focus is entirely on him, and show the character in a way where he has intelligence, he has integrity, he cares, he has heart, and being a Black man is something I want to put my own stamp on.
I mean, I think that's incredible. I think that's incredible, and we can't wait to see it. Morris, just thinking about your body of work, and for folks who don't know, because there's a whole new generation of people coming up that may not remember your role as Ricky Baker in the 1991 film Boys in the Hood, or they might not remember your appearances in films like G.I. Jane and The Brothers and Like Mike, The Call, so many to name. Do you ever feel a pressure to show up in films in a way that leans more into the nostalgia than it is, your imagination?
No, I don't feel pressure on that. For me, I just put pressure on myself just to try to do better and be better each time out. Each time out, I just want to do better than the last job I did. But I think I don't feel the pressure to lean into the nostalgia of it all, because each project is its own entity, unless it's a project like The Best Man, where we did the movie, did the sequel, and then we did a television series. So that, of course, is something that I would. But other than that, just for me, it's just keep on moving on, trying to get to higher heights.
I mean, so I guess put differently, Morris, I'm 40 years old, and I'm in pretty good shape. We can all be in better shape, except for Morris Chestnut, because you stay in good shape. Does that come with its own pressure? I mean, a lot of people, a lot of our leaders, learners, and listeners have said, Morris Chestnut has been fine for a long time, right? Does that ever get in the way with your portrayal of different characters or your interest in playing characters that, may not at first glance, be a looker, but, having, a still a compelling story to share? Morris, are you still there?
In that regard, to where they know what they're casting me for, and that kind of comes with it. But there's no pressure on me, because to me, staying in shape and going to the gym is a way of life. So because that is a way of life for me, I don't necessarily feel the pressure from it, and I don't lean into it in the sense to where I know what people expect. Um, there have been times we say, okay, you get a role, and I'm talking to the director, producer, so we'll do a shirtless scene. I get it, I understand that, and I'll lean into it that way. But I don't feel the pressure and say I don't, reach up to them and say, hey, I want to take my shirt off in this project.
Mm. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Morris, you are a son of Cerritos, California. And for folks who are not familiar with the landscape, Cerritos is not all that far from Compton.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm sure you saw the Super Bowl.
Of course.
And I got to ask you, what did you think about Kendrick Lamar's, now iconic performance? I mean, there are people that are saying that there were more viewers for this Super Bowl than Michael Jackson's Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar has now surpassed Michael Jackson. I can hardly believe it. He has surpassed Michael Jackson in terms of the number of viewers that saw his performance. What did you make of it?
I thought so. For me, I think people are listen. I can always appreciate any performer who gets out there and does his thing. I felt there was a lot of symbolism to his performance, and I support that. I support any artist who has the courage to get up in front of 100 million people and convey their message, where their thoughts, their feelings, their creativity. I've heard people say that some people are disappointed, some people love it. I always look for the positive in most situations. And again, with this now, Kendrick is not Michael Jackson, where he's going to get out there and moonwalk across the stage. So I appreciate him for his music.
Well, we all do. We all do. And, the streets are talking, social media is talking. It definitely represents an inflection point. Morris, what haven't you done? You have been around for a long time, though you don't look it. And you have been a part of films that are also iconic. I mentioned Boys in the Hood earlier. What's been one of your keys to longevity in a business that can be sometimey? What's been your secret?
I think I don't think it's a secret. I think primarily I just treat people with respect. A lot of times, particularly actors, they'll get to the set, they'll make every set and every moment about them, and they don't really care how they treat people. I've just been, I was raised differently than that. I just treat people with respect, regardless of where you are on the quote unquote totem pole. From the young PA that's just starting out to the star of the movie, that's the producer, director, the studio. I just try to treat everybody with respect.
Social justice. You tuned into the right place. A more perfect union continues when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. California properties in the Eaton Fire burn zone are selling fast, with vacant lots going to developers. In a historically Black neighborhood, locals fear rapid development could erase their community's heritage. A federal appeals court in New York is upholding R. Kelly's 30-year prison sentence for racketeering and sex trafficking. His lawyer sought to overturn the conviction or get a new trial, but the court rejected it. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson hinted at changes to his administration, saying he should have, quote, cleaned house faster, end quote. Speaking at a Southside church, he noted he tried working with inherited staff, but now says, quote, if you ain't with us, you just gotta go, end quote. And Maryland is joining 21 states in suing the Trump administration for defunding medical research. African-American Attorney General Anthony Brown calls the cuts unlawful, saying they threaten life-saving research at universities and facilities nationwide. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Some good news in Chatsworth on the 118 westbound. A wreck past Topanga Canyon has been cleared, but now traffic is recovering out of Porter Ranch, getting away from Porter Ranch Drive. And spectator slowing picking up eastbound away from Cooner Drive. Also, let's head out to San Fernando. This is a wreck on the 5 northbound at San Fernando Mission Boulevard. The 2 right lanes have been off limits due to an earlier crash involving a couple of big rigs and debris cleanup. Big delays backing up away from Sheldon Street, getting out of Sun Valley. It's affecting the 170 northbound as well, getting away from Sherman Way.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The final head coach vacancy in the NFL was filled Wednesday morning. Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore was hired by the New Orleans Saints. Moore's hiring caps an unflattering offseason coaching cycle for the NFL. Of the 7 NFL openings for a head coach position, only 1 went to an African-American. Former Detroit Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn was hired by the New York Jets. The NFL will start the 2025 season with only 5 black head coaches, down from 6 in 2024. I'll do the math for you. Only 5 of the NFL's 32 teams have a black head coach. That's 15% of the workforce among NFL head coaches. The other 4 black head coaches are Mike Tomlin at Pittsburgh, Todd Bowles at Tampa Bay, Raheem Morris with Atlanta, and DeMeco Ryan at Houston. The NFL has been a strong believer in diversity, equity, and inclusion, but a lot more work needs to be done. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. For information on fire recovery resources, recovery hubs, and available services, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 countywide. Aid distribution locations, repopulation updates, and safety rules are constantly changing. Visit the LA City and LA County websites for the latest. If you'd like to sign up for the county's free debris removal, fill out a right of entry form, or get a list of disaster recovery centers that are still active, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call the debris hotline at 844-347-3332. If you're vulnerable to mudslides with rain in the forecast, free sandbags are being offered. Go to lacounty.pw/sandbags to find out where to get them. Businesses who have lost their facilities due to the fires can use a regional online source to get free or discounted locations. Whether you're interested in donating or finding space, you can visit the business-to-business Space Share portal at spaceshare.lacounty.gov. Additional LA County small business support and programs can be found at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail, because freedom should be free. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to Streaming More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and really delighted to welcome my next guest, Sue Ann Robinson. She is an award-winning trial attorney, a dynamic commentator, and she's a renowned TV legal analyst who's become a leading voice on issues related to criminal justice reform, police misconduct, and high-profile legal cases. One of the biggest legal cases that is still emerging is the case of Sean P. Diddy Combs, where earlier I had shared with you all that in recent developments, Combs and his team have decided that they're going to sue, NBC, Universal, and Peacock for somewhere around $100 million. Here to help us make sense out of it, Sue Ann Robinson, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome. We know this has been a busy day for you. So first things first, what do you make of Sean Combs suing NBC over this documentary that he says defamed him? Is this an effort to pull focus from some other very serious charges he's facing, or is this a pretty credible case?
Well, in reviewing the pleadings, it's going to have a lot of implications for future documentary filmmakers, because it's basically the issue that it comes down to is First Amendment free speech, which that the press has, and a right for him in this particular case to control his personal brand, because the case is all about his intellectual property rights. He's alleging that NBC is using his name, image, and likeness, and then he's also suing them for breach of contract because he's saying there might have been some previous agreements in place with NBC or related entities that doesn't allow them to use his name, image, and likeness in this way. So, is he pulling interest from something else? I don't know, because this is a civil case and he has a criminal lawsuit going on. I think he's definitely, with the lawsuit, wanting to suppress, delete, stop the barrage and the constant stream of documentaries and productions that are using his name, image, and likeness, for sure. And I definitely think the lawsuit's underpinnings are that, if they're just using this for a commercial purpose, which is what the court is going to have to decide, or whether or not the documentary serves a legitimate public interest.
And something that's a little bit different from the public interest, we know that there's been a lot of chatter on the internet around the death of Kim Porter, the mother of Diddy's kids. According to the New York Times, the newest defamation suit focuses in on one part of a segment of the Peacock documentary, in which one interview subject asserts that Kim Porter, again, Diddy's longtime girlfriend, had been murdered. And the documentary includes an image of Miss Porter's autopsy report, which says that she died of lobar pneumonia, and notes that the local police did not suspect foul play. She died in 2018 at the age of 47. How much of this is Diddy trying to correct the record versus change the narrative in terms of his alleged involvement in the death of his kid's mother?
I'm not sure if he's trying to correct the record. My kind of read of what he's trying to do is that he's trying to slow down the barrage of information that's being flushed into the public about him, about anything, any information about him. It seems like he's trying to slow it down. And it's different if it's, no disrespect to other platforms, but if it's a Tubi or if it's, something like that, I think he's really interested in this because he has previous deals with NBC, and he thinks this particular platform, maybe he thinks it's more legitimate that it's coming from NBC, and that's his concern and why he's trying to slow it down. But I definitely see his team trying to slow down that information, because what we have to remember at the end of the day, he is the accused in a criminal case right now. And people that are members of the public that are seeing this documentary and seeing all these information on blogs and different platforms are potentially members of his prospective jury panel. And all of these things are going to be affecting, that day. If he ends up facing a jury, this information could be seen, heard, used, known by prospective members of his jury panel. So I think his team is trying to cut down on that.
And we know that the 90-minute documentary, which was released last month, it also includes other interviews in which people question the details surrounding the death of some of other Combs associates, including the notorious B.I.G., a rapper, who of course was on Diddy's label, who was fatally shot in 1997. What's the likelihood that this documentary could be considered evidence in this trial? What's the likelihood that the prosecution might point to this documentary to sort of illustrate any sort of alleged pattern and practice in terms of how Combs and his inner circle operate?
I don't know about the documentary itself being evidence per se, but I think the concern is that the documentary being viewed and observed by the public could affect prospective members of the jury. And so that is going to be the problem. They're going to see it, and then it may not be actual evidence in the trial, because the trial is about a very specific set of facts that is not addressed in the documentary at all. But it can taint members of the jury pool, because they think that they'll believe, if they believe the information that's in the documentary, then it could taint how they view the actual evidence in the case. And that's likely what his team will argue if it comes to a time where he's set in front of a jury.
And what's keeping prosecutors from issuing a subpoena to the documentary filmmakers, to the editors, to want to take a look, getting a warrant to take a look at the footage that didn't make it into the final cut, but footage that may offer clues that they may want to look into? Like, what's the likelihood that could happen?
I think that to the extent that the documentary or any of the filmmakers involved have any evidence pertaining to the actual allegations in the criminal indictment, that they would obviously seek access to that. But as far as my viewing of the documentary, there isn't anything in the documentary relating directly to the allegations of the crimes that he's charged of currently.
Well, it's good to know. I mean, this trial is set to begin in May, I believe, and we definitely want to invite you to come back as we get closer to that trial and during that trial to help us sort of make sense out of this. This is a major moment in pop culture. I mean, it's not often that you see figures like Diddy facing the kind of serious charges that he is facing, and charges that potentially implicate a lot of folks in his orbit, in the industry, both out front and behind the scenes.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And I think the most important part and why platforms like yours are so important are that you are trying to make sure that the public and the court of public opinion has the right information. So I appreciate you having me.
Well, our thanks to Sue Ann Robinson, award-winning trial attorney, renowned TV legal analyst. We can't wait to have you right back here on A More Perfect Union.
Thank you.
You are listening to KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like to inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Fatherhood includes being present during pregnancy, delivery, and beyond, supporting your partner, and advocating for your baby's health. Black fathers play a key role in reducing maternal and infant health inequalities. Join the free AIM Fatherhood Program and make a difference. Visit blackinfantsandfamilies.org/fatherhood.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and it's about that time for the quiet part out loud. Listen, in case you're wondering, why does he keep bringing up what's happening with regard to federal workers? I keep bringing it up because, as I said earlier, there are generations of folks in our community that were able to climb into the middle class, live a middle class life, purchase a home, for example, send their kids to college, for example, having a good government job. Not just talking about folks who work at the post office, but folks that work in all levels of government, local, state, and federal. And right now, there's a federal government purge that is happening in real time. The Washington Post reporting on ousted federal watchdogs suing Trump, saying that they were fired illegally. A group of federal inspectors general ousted by the White House last month, they sued the Trump administration today, claiming that their firings were carried out illegally. You see, by dismissing the watchdogs in 2-sentence emails, The administration violated the federal law requiring it to inform Congress with 30 days notice and provide in writing substantive rationale for the firing, saying this in a 32-page complaint that was filed in the U.S. District Court for D.C. The plaintiffs are 8 of the 17 Senate-confirmed inspector generals fired 4 days, just 4 days, into President Trump's term for what the White House cited as, quotes, changing priorities. They're seeking reinstatement to their positions, conducting oversight of waste, fraud, and abuse at the Department of Defense, Veterans Affairs, Health and Human Services, Education, Agriculture, Labor, and State, as well as the Small Business Administration. Now, what's possible when these inspector generals are not in place, when we don't have these watchdogs in place that, serve between administrations? Their job, is to maintain the integrity of each of the agencies they work for to the letter of the law. Their allegiance is to the law. It's not to an individual. And when they're not there, stuff like this happens. Take a listen to what unfolded today during a House hearing, House oversight hearing, I believe. Take a look at what unfolded earlier today that serves as a reminder of why these watchdogs are critically important.
Inspector generals that were looking into Elon Musk's companies were fired by the Trump-Musk administration. These inspector generals, who are independent, protected by law, they are the people that find the waste, fraud, and abuse and found many of the cases of waste, fraud, and abuse that have been brought up today, fired because they were looking into Elon Musk. At the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, which is supposed to protect workers from getting their unions busted by folks like Elon Musk, made functionally broken by the so-called Department of Government Efficiency that really is the Department of Government Efficiency for Elon Musk, not for you. They are trying to shut down the Department of Education, the Department of Labor. You know what Elon Musk doesn't seem to be looking into? His own contracts. Again, I'll ask you, Mr. Talcove, do you know how much money a day Mr. Musk will receive from the federal government for his contracts?
No.
The answer is $8 million a day. Just last year, Elon Musk was promised $3 billion from close to 100 contracts with the federal government. Ms. Royal, do you know how much the average person in this country who survives on Social Security, one of our seniors who's worked their entire life, about how much they have to survive on a day?
I do not.
$65 a day. We're not looking into Elon Musk's $8 million a day. This subcommittee, chaired by Marjorie Taylor Greene and the House Republicans, is looking into your grandmother's $65 a day. Let me be clear. I think we would all support taxpayer savings, look into money we might needlessly send to billionaires and big corporations, find taxpayer savings, and send it back to your hardworking family. But instead, what House Republicans and the Trump-Musk administration want to do is they want to look into your kids' lunch money, your kids' teacher's salary, into your grandparents' Social Security. They want to take that money and give it out in billionaire tax cuts. And they're talking about that in committee tomorrow, in budget committee tomorrow. They just released their plan. So let me be clear. When Republicans talk about government efficiency in this Congress, they're not looking into billionaires who don't pay their taxes. They're not looking into billionaires who get rich off of government contracts. They're not looking into Elon Musk firing watchdogs who are supposed to keep him accountable. They're looking at cutting your public schools. They're going straight for your Social Security. They're coming straight for cancer research. They're coming straight for the Department of Education. They're not looking at big tech. They're not looking at big pharma because those people fund their campaigns.
And that was just today, and it bears repeating, it bears sharing very widely what is afoot here. You can't say that you're all about ushering in more government efficiency when you're not looking at every agency the same, where you're not seeking first to understand just sort of, well, what are the goals of the spend, right? What are the repercussions, if you end spending right away, as opposed to ending spending or redirecting spending gradually? It just feels as if the administration is taking a wrecking ball to these agencies without any respect for the work that they've been charged to do, and it also feels like they're turning a blind eye. They're looking at everything but the contracts that are affiliated with Elon Musk. And I think some questions come up about transparency in this. There are already examples of Elon Musk putting out statements about inefficiencies that were found, only for journalists to uncover that, no, that wasn't an inefficiency. There money that was dedicated for sexual health in sub-Saharan Africa, that money was intended to go there. It wasn't just a random line item for millions of dollars in condoms, for example. And so, we got to scrutinize what we hear. And we're certainly going to do our part here on A More Perfect Union, especially when it comes to issues that impact our communities. Good government jobs are not the enemy. They're not. And certainly there's waste, fraud, and abuse everywhere. But waste, fraud, and abuse can't be everywhere but the contract that you hold, the contract that your buddies hold, the contracts that your supporters hold. When we come forward, we are switching gears in our next hour. Really looking forward to welcoming our next guest, who's doing some incredible work on the continent that we should know about. We should also know how the dismantling of the United States Agency for International Development is impacting that good work and what we can do about it. You are listening to and streaming More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
With 4 things you should know with BIN News. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is vowing to regain public trust after federal prosecutors dropped his corruption case, denying any wrongdoing. He thanked the Justice Department. Over 100 million people are facing severe winter weather from Colorado to Maine, with icy conditions and snowfall expected for 2 days. In the South, 15 million are under flood alerts from Texas to Kentucky, and 10 million face tornado threats from Alabama to Louisiana. The search continues for an Atlanta school coach as HBCU Spelman College warns Professor Jocelyn Wilson